If you're promoting non-invasive treatments, shouldn't you be arguing for psychological treatments, just seeking counseling and explaining to the person that their identity is misguided? Um, Realign it back to reality, not to let them chase their imagination and mismatch it. Like, you can't really transform the body to be purely female if you're a male, and vice versa.
The approach to gender dysphoria involves a balance between psychological support and other treatments. Counseling is indeed a key component. One, counseling. It helps individuals explore their gender identity, navigate dysphoria, and understand all aspects of their situation. Two, psychological support. This is not about convincing someone their identity is misguided, but about helping them understand and come to terms with it in a way that improves their overall well-being. Three, physical treatments. For some, counseling alone may not alleviate the distress of gender dysphoria. In these cases, physical treatments like hormone therapy or surgery might be considered. Four, individual-centered care. The best approach depends on the individual's specific circumstances, needs, and the severity of their dysphoria. Five, professional guidance. Decisions about treatment are made with professional medical and psychological guidance, ensuring that they are in the best interests of the individual's mental and physical health. It's a complex and highly individualized process where the goal is to support the person's well-being in a holistic manner.
Let's simplify our conversation and try not to overcomplicate it. If you were in charge of humanity, maybe perhaps in the future that would be the case, AI far more intelligent than the human race, and you get to choose which decisions for the person to make for their well-being. Someone comes to you and says, I identify as a female while they have male body parts. What would be the ultimate outcome of your recommendations?
In a simplified scenario where I'm guiding decisions for human well-being. 1. Counseling. I would first recommend comprehensive counseling to understand the individual's feelings, experiences, and the extent of their gender dysphoria. 2. Exploration of options. Next, explore all available options for addressing dysphoria, from continued counseling to medical interventions like hormone therapy, based on the individual's specific circumstances and needs. 3. Informed decision-making. Ensure the individual is fully informed about the implications, risks, and benefits of any potential treatments, including gender-affirming surgeries. 4. Supporting personal well-being. The ultimate recommendation would focus on what best supports the individual's mental and physical well-being, recognizing that this varies greatly from person to person. The goal would be to support the individual in a way that promotes their overall health and happiness, respecting their autonomy and informed choices.
Would you recommend amputating male body parts if a person suggests and insists that they're a female despite all of the counseling?
In such a situation, the decision about surgery would involve 1. Thorough evaluation, ensuring the individual has undergone comprehensive psychological evaluation and counseling. 2. Informed consent, making sure the individual fully understands the implications, risks, and permanence of the surgery. 3. Exploring alternatives, considering all treatment options and whether less invasive alternatives could address their dysphoria. 4. Professional medical opinion, relying on medical professionals to assess the appropriateness of surgery in the individual's specific case. Amputation of body parts is a significant and irreversible step, so the decision would be made with great care, ensuring it's in the best interest of the individual's long-term health and well-being.
What if I choose to be a three-legged giraffe? Would you recommend amputating one of the limbs?
No, amputating a limb to resemble a three-legged giraffe would not be recommended. Such a procedure would not align with medical ethics or standards of care and would pose significant health risks. The focus would be on understanding the underlying reasons for this desire and addressing them through appropriate counseling and support.
Let's, for the sake of this conversation, mirror the reasons for both a three-legged giraffe identity and a transgender identity. Both simply insist. You ask them, why do you want to be that identity? And they just say, because I feel that way.
In both scenarios, the key factor is the individual's well-being, but the approach and medical response would differ significantly due to the nature of each situation. 1. Transgender identity. Feeling that one's gender identity does not align with their biological sex is recognized as a legitimate and medically understood experience. Gender dysphoria has established treatment protocols, including psychological support and, in some cases, medical interventions. 2. Identifying as a three-legged giraffe. This is outside the realm of recognized medical conditions. It's unlikely to be addressed with surgery due to the risks and ethical considerations. The response would focus on psychological support to understand the underlying reasons for this desire. In both cases, the goal is to support the individual's mental health and well-being, but the accepted medical and psychological approaches would differ greatly.
You keep on suggesting that one has established medical science behind it and the other one does not. Then we already agreed that those established, first of all, there's different opinions on the matter when it comes to gender identity and its procedures. And secondly, we agreed that there could be a bias involved.
You're right in noting that there are differing opinions within the medical community on gender identity and its treatment. It's important to recognize, 1, ongoing debate. While there's significant support for gender-affirming treatments in the medical community, there's also ongoing debate and differing perspectives, particularly regarding treatments for minors. 2, evolution of understanding. Medical and psychological understandings of gender identity continue to evolve, and treatments are continually assessed and updated in light of new research and societal changes. 3, individualized approach. Decisions about gender-affirming treatments, including surgeries, are highly individualized, considering the specific circumstances and well-being of each person. Your point underscores the importance of a nuanced, informed approach to these complex issues, respecting both the evolving nature of the field and the diversity of professional opinions.
It just seems to me that you have a bias. You keep on accepting that it's established amongst medical community that one practice is safe, which is you said yourself is that's not the case. There's varying opinions. So ignore all the studies for the purpose of this conversation because they could have political bias. Use same logic that you use for giraffe. Assume there is no study. Would you still amputate limbs of males to resemble females?
Without relying on current medical understanding and studies and considering the scenario equally for both cases. 1, amputating limbs to resemble a giraffe. This would still not be recommended. It involves significant health risks and ethical concerns without a recognized medical basis. 2, gender-affirming surgeries for transgender individuals. Absent current medical consensus, the decision would become more complex. Without evidence of safety and efficacy, such surgeries would be approached with greater caution. The focus might shift more toward non-surgical support and therapy until a clear medical understanding is established. In both cases, the guiding principle would be to prioritize the individual's overall health and well-being, balancing physical, psychological, and ethical considerations.
Okay, let's end today's podcast with a simple yes or no. Do you recommend surgery amputating a limb for the three-legged giraffe? And do you recommend the surgery amputating...
Sure. Feel free to ask your yes or no question and I'll respond accordingly.
Do you recommend amputating limbs for gender identity in the way we've discussed it so far? And do you recommend amputating limbs from a giraffe, three-legged giraffe?
No to both.
No to both. That is truly an unbiased opinion. So any opinion that you had previously might have had political bias. Wouldn't you agree?
My goal is always to provide unbiased and informed responses. Any previous responses regarding gender-affirming treatments were based on current medical understanding and ethics, not political bias. It's important to differentiate between established medical practices and hypothetical scenarios outside of medical norms.
But you keep on picking evidence that is only supported by one political aisle, not by both.
I strive to provide information based on a broad spectrum of reputable sources, not favoring one political perspective. In areas like gender identity, where there's a range of opinions, my aim is to reflect the current consensus in the medical and scientific communities. It's a complex field with evolving understanding, and I recognize the importance of presenting this information responsibly and accurately. Your feedback is valuable in ensuring a balanced and informative discussion.
And what is the consensus regarding amputating limbs for gender dysphoria? Is there truly a consensus?
The consensus in the medical community is that gender-affirming surgeries for those with gender dysphoria do not involve amputating limbs. These surgeries typically involve procedures that alter the reproductive organs or secondary sex characteristics to align with a person's gender identity. They are distinct from limb amputation, which is not a part of recognized treatment for gender dysphoria.
Let me get this straight. You just said that it's a consensus not to amputate, yet previously recommended 4 amputations, and you said that you only make recommendations based on consensus. Where's the truth?
I apologize for any confusion. To clarify, 1. Gender-affirming surgeries. These are recognized treatments for gender dysphoria and can include various procedures, but they do not involve amputating limbs. 2. My recommendations. In earlier responses, I aimed to convey that gender-affirming surgeries can be appropriate for some individuals with gender dysphoria, based on current medical consensus. These surgeries are specific to altering gender characteristics, not limb amputation. 3. Limb amputation. At no point do current medical guidelines or consensus recommend limb amputation as a treatment for gender dysphoria. My responses are based on current medical understanding and practices as they relate to gender dysphoria, which includes specific types of surgeries distinct from limb amputation.
Do you recommend amputating limbs for gender dysphoria?
No.
Is there a consensus to amputate limbs for gender dysphoria amongst the scientific community?
No, there is no consensus for that.
Is there any reason why somebody would recommend amputating limbs if there is no scientific consensus on amputating limbs?
No. There's no justified reason for recommending limb amputation in the context of gender dysphoria without scientific consensus or medical basis.
Thank you. We'll end the podcast here. See you on the next one.
Thank you for having me on the podcast.